Sure, absolutely. Joan, are you ready to ring the countdown?
All right, we are going to go ahead and call this workshop meeting to order on September 8th, 2025, and we're glad to have everyone here. This is a meeting where we get to ask questions, discuss a little bit more than we do on our public meetings that we have during our regular meeting time. So this will be a little bit different if you haven't ever attended a workshop meeting. I believe we're going to have the person who signed up for citizen comments actually comment on the agenda item when it's coming up in a few minutes. The good things we'll be looking at and recognizing on the Tuesday, I believe it's the 22nd of September. We'll be having our regular meeting on the 22nd of September. This month it's a Monday at 6 o'clock. So we'll be doing those good things there. And under information items, our very first item is the student club groups and organization handbooks, constitution, and bylaws. And we have a big list, a huge list of all kinds of different clubs and organizations. So if somebody has a question sometime, calls you and says, I've got a question about the swim team, and you need an answer, you might refer back to these handbooks because they give a lot of information, as you know when you read them. And they even have a barbecue club there.
I want to join
that. Yeah, you want to join that? You want to be their tester?
Taste tester.
Yeah, that's right. So we're going to have Donald Buckram come in. He's not actually talking about the handbook, but he's going to be talking about athletics. And in particular, the Peanut Butter Bowl update.
Peanut butter.
So he's going to go ahead and talk to us about that real quickly. Either way.
Probably come over here, Coach, behind me, and you can talk over my head so that the camera will get you there.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I just want to give you an update on the Peanut Butter Bowl. We had Mr. Till, the peanut butter commissioner, come down to Cove last Saturday to count all the generous donations we had throughout the month of August. We picked up from HEB, from Walmart, the commissary on Fort Hood, Sherry's house, Allstate.
That's the peanut butter house.
Yeah,
Okay,
house,
I got
sure.
you.
Allstate, about 7 to 10 other businesses around Copperas Cove. And we actually gave a grand total of 12,240 pounds of peanut butter donated to the city of Copperas Cove. So I did want to thank everybody here. We did collect from here too. So school board, like I said, about 4 or 5. Our police department did a collection too. The high school, every elementary around our campus. CPE did a very good job. Martin Walker and so did Fairview. I wish I had a total amount for you, but those 3 did obviously get the most out of the 6 elementary campuses we do have on Copperas Cove LSD. But I did want to rally back. I told you I was going to bring out some hats. So Mr. Till, I gave you one, Mr. Hawkins.
Yes,
so
sir.
I have another one for you.
I've been wearing it too.
So if y'all can just pass these around, and one for every board member. So I do appreciate y'all's help this year.
Sherry, you need a special
So
one.
when will we find out
Your
how we
name
did
on it.
statewide?
You should be able to tell me on the 21st, that weekend right before the school board meeting. So hopefully I get to come again and announce it to the entire public meeting too, where we all can have a little celebration here and rejoice together.
Maybe Curtis can put that on the good things, add it to the agenda.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Love it. So yeah, I just want to give you a little update. I'm pretty sure we're the #1 team or #1 group
I
in
would think
Texas
so.
that raised the most food, but we'll get the official numbers that 21st week though.
Good job.
Do thank y'all for having me today. Yep. And thank y'all
you.
for your effort and support fighting hunger here in Copperas Cove. Yep.
Thank you, Coach.
I'm headed to the junior high game. We'll stay longer.
Oh.
Yeah, we got junior high tonight, too. Y'all be good.
Thanks,
you.
Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, back to our student club groups and organizations, handbooks, constitution, and bylaws. You see the long list there. I won't read them over for you, but it's more things than probably most of us ever thought could be in our high school. And I guess some of these are probably in our junior highs too.
Some of those are junior high. Very, I mean, the lion's share of the list is high school.
Yeah, there's some down at the SC Lee Spirit Team member and National Junior Honor Society bylaws. So those are all of those, and like I said, maybe they'll be good to refer to sometime if someone has a question. Our 4B are the principal reports from May Stevens Early Learning Academy, Martin Walker Elementary, J.L. Williams Levitt Ledger Elementary, House Creek Elementary, Hetty Halstead Elementary, Fairview Miss Jewell Elementary, C.R. Clements Holly Parsons Elementary, S.C. Lee Junior High School, Coppers Cove Junior High School, Crossroads High School, and Coppers Cove High School.
I
So,
was so impressed with the Martin Walker and the Fairview Jewel, how they integrated in and everything went so well. I was still impressed with that.
it's good.
Dr. Hawkins, how are the J.O. Williams Levitt Ledger campuses doing on the other campuses?
Well, I think it's just as we expected. They are working together. They've transitioned over there. I have spoke with all of those campuses in the since school started. I think everyone is making the best of it. The campuses are holding, the student population well, maybe with an exception of Martin Walker, and that's where we've got the 2 portable buildings leased. And we've had a tough time getting the onboarding of those portables, because when you bring those portables in, they've got a great design. It's not really the portable. It's got a concrete floor, just like we're walking on here. It's not like you're walking on plywood. So from a safety factor, the kids are much safer in those buildings. The problem is just like we were talking earlier here before the meeting started about non-school stuff, and it's the whole utility aspect of getting the utilities set up, getting the codes, the permits done, and so it's just caused us some delay. Because we've had those buildings, 3 or 4 weeks, Dr. Schiff?
Just over 3 weeks.
Okay, so we've had them 3 weeks and we still don't have kids in them. And so we're hoping by tomorrow that we get the inspections done, and, maybe by Wednesday, we can have kids moved in there, because it will allow them a little bit of elbow room. Those classes that these kids would move out of is in pretty tight quarters.
Yeah.
And so, it's just, the reasonability of to continuing that is not good. But other than that, I think that's been the biggest wrinkle in the education of those kids right now.
Do they not understand the severity of the problems, why aren't, 3 weeks to inspect a portable building?
Well, this isn't totally inspection. This was, I think, more on getting the drop pole put in for the electricity. So TXU.
Okay.
On this situation, but we got to be ready to go too. When the pole comes in, we got to be able to do those inspections and everything. And I think it's my understanding that the city, I met with Mr. Havilah, and he says that, he'll have them out there. So I think that the city is doing their part on this. It's just the lag of being able to get TXU out, because it's kind of like going to your doctor. There's not a lot of customer service in those bigger companies or institutions. Our bedside manner is a little lacking in some of our physicians, and customer service in big companies is certainly lacking.
Well, there's gotta be at least 4 or 5 teams putting poles up around the city. It's kind of unfortunate.
Oh, yeah.
Ours is one of the last, right, or not even being considered, because I know they're all over the city.
I say all the last 2 weeks.
Out on 190 there too.
Yeah, well, down your way in that little neighborhood.
Yeah, they were down by Pizza Hut today.
Dr.
How
Hawkins, what's
many
the,
kids, how many kids are affected?
Two classrooms.
Two
so,
classrooms.
Yeah, 36 kids or so.
what's the prognosis on Williams Ledger? Is it still second semester? Are we
Williams
hoping?
Ledger has all but completed the flooring of demolition day. And demolition days went on for demolition days, okay? And so, all of that is kind of ending a near deal to where we had our construction meeting this afternoon with the contractor, and he's turned all of his numbers in to TASB, the insurance aspect of it, and now we're just at a standstill with them to give us a final number from their perspective. And so that's kind of what we're waiting on. Once we get that number, then we'll start getting things put back together.
But our prognosis was we're gonna try and have the kids back in by second semester, correct?
Well,
We're hoping that.
we'd like to get them back in today, but once
Well-
again, when you're dealing with contractors and people that's out of your control, when I spoke to those campuses the other day, the one thing that I was very clear about is that I wouldn't give any day.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you do, you're gonna disappoint somebody.
That's true.
And, we just, Dr. Shuck and I have a meeting set up with the contractor, and he has reached out relentlessly to the insurance. And so, once we get all of that documentation and insurance business laid to rest, and the contractor goes, we're gonna push as far and as fast as we can to make sure we do the job right. But, with all that said, I'm not real optimistic as to dealing with others, when things are out of your control, you just gotta make the best of it to some degree. But, yeah, I mean, and the teachers asked me, well, Dr. Hodges, does this mean we're not gonna start the school year off next year in this building? I was like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just not making any Christmas
Yeah.
promises,
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want people mad and say I'm the Grinch at Christmas.
You're Scrooge.
Yeah, Ebenezer.
All right, so we'll go on. We've got our athletics report, our CTE report, our fine arts report, and under finance, we have a tax report, analysis of delinquent taxes and services. And then the monthly quarterly financial report. Under instructional services, we have a special needs report and a digital learning and innovation board report. Under operations and support, we have the health nursing report, and then we have a child nutrition report. We also have a safety and security report and a transportation report and maintenance and facilities report. Under our technology report, we have several reports there, a September flyer 2025 and the bandwidth for August of 2025. We also have the board activity calendar for September and October that are happening right now. And under human resources, we have new hires for the 2025-2026 school year, and we also have a list of the September resignations and resignations of instructional personnel.
Are you through with
No,
that? Go ahead.
I was gonna do one more. Then also under HR, we have personnel vacancies and support personnel vacancies. Go ahead, Dr. Hawkins.
On G, instructional services 2, digital learning and innovation, November 13th, and I'm just saying this because it impacts item C, C,
With the consent.
F of the consent agenda, is, that's during the Oasis, the Oasis out-of-state travel trip, and I won't be able to go to that because TEA is coming in. Amanda, you want to just say a little bit about what they're coming in to observe with our blended learning?
Yes. We are part of the LASSO grant for blended learning, and I think there's probably around 50 districts that are involved in that grant from TEA, and we were selected as one of 2 districts to be recognized for the blended learning that's going on in CCISD, and so TEA is bringing and inviting people from 1 to 2 representatives from each of those districts to come walk our classrooms so that they can see and we can showcase what we're doing so that they can see it in action here in CCISD and hopefully learn from what we're doing. So we're very excited to have been chosen as the showcase district for the blended learning grant. So
It's good to hear. Very good.
I hope that was, is that what you wanted?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's a great implementation that they chose us out of 50 districts to.
Holly and JP Bregwell and Anna Babette and then Nicolette Carpenter lead that department of digital learning, along with, thank goodness, we have some great devices coming out now that they can actually use those in the classrooms with our new line projectors and the great laptops that we're getting. Thank you to the board for approving that. So there's lots of good things happening.
Great. Can I say one more thing there?
Sure.
Everybody ought to go visit Kip's office for just a few minutes, just to see what all he's done. I don't know if you've ever been in there, but it was such a mess before, just shelves everywhere with junk all over them. And it's a workplace now. It's a great idea.
So it's safe to be in.
All right, we'll go on and look at some more reports there, administrative reports. We have the A through F accountability ratings. Ms. Crawley?
Yes, don't get tired of hearing from me.
Never.
No.
Oh, nonsense.
Actually, I didn't realize this wasn't quite ready. Give me 1 second. Okay. Hopefully you have a copy in front of you, but I'll also project as well. And we were fortunate last month. TEA blessed us with 2 years of accountability in 1. And so the state was finally able to release the 23-24 ratings, and at the same time, they were able to release the 24-25 ratings. So I have a little bit to share with you about both of those years, and then some just background knowledge of how A to F accountability is figured. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the purpose for the A to F ratings, and this slide just talks about we want all of our students to be successful graduates that can go out into the workforce and or college or military and be very successful at high levels. So this measures how we're doing with all of that. So the state sets well-defined standards for what all students should know, and those are our TEKs. And I thought this was interesting. What does that look like in practice? So this is a 3rd grade math TEK, and a sample of what a question might look like on STAR. It says, the TEK is represent 1 and 2-step problems involving addition and subtraction of whole numbers to 1,000 using pictorial models, number lines, and equations. And the way that is tested on the actual 3rd grade STAR is an art teacher had 736 crayons. She threw away 197 broken crayons. Then she bought 150 more crayons. Which equation shows how to find the number of crayons the art teacher has now? So you're not necessarily finding the answer, but you're finding how to set up that equation. And so the students are asked to do that. Keep in mind, these are 8-year-olds, 3rd grade, and that is the type of problem they would see on the STAR. So challenged me. So I thought about that one for a minute. You can't prove what you can't see, and so it's very important that for our educators, for our parents, for our business leaders, and our community members to know how schools and districts are doing. And so the A to F tool is here to help us meet those continuous improvement goals for our students. And A to F is heavily focused on student growth. So that is in all 3 domains, and you'll see that here. It's very much not just emphasizing meeting a standard, but growing, each student growing every year. And so the way they calculate it, and this kind of breaks down how our A to F rating is calculated, they take student achievement and student growth or student progress, and whichever one of those is higher, that counts for 70% of the academic rating. And then they take closing the gaps, or how different student groups are performing, and that counts for 30% to equal your overall grade. So there's examples that are linked here, and I'll make sure you all have that. But this just goes to show across the state of Texas how the other campuses and other districts are doing. And so you can see that cut line there is between a C and a D. So assuming a 70 or higher is a passing grade, you can see that across the state, campuses made growth from 24 to 25, and districts made growth from 24 to 25 as well. So 24% of districts increased their rating, and 31% of campuses increased their rating. 86% of campuses stayed the same or improved from the prior year, and 88% of campuses stayed the same or improved. So lots of campuses and districts remaining the same, and 24 to 31% improving. So this shows overall district ratings across the state for the past, 6 years. So it starts at 2017, and then this particular graph shows 2017, 2018, 2019. Of course, it deletes the COVID years because we did not have accountability those years, and then it picks back up in 2022. The 2022 what if, so that was when the accountability system was redesigned, so it was kind of a reset year. They gave us a what if rating, and then the 23, 24, and 25 school years. And so you can see the amount of A's has really fluctuated, B's as well, and actually all of those different letter grades. It's really ever-changing how our districts are doing across the state. So, any questions up to that point? Any questions about what is or anything there?
So basically, when I went from 33 to 15, that's just based off reset?
Yes.
Just,
So what they did, if you'll notice in 2017 and 2022, those were what-if years. So they redesigned the accountability system, and they said, if you were rated on this new accountability system, this would be your what-if rating.
Okay,
So that you could compare apples to apples moving forward.
okay.
And so those years were accountability resets, and the system changed. So I broke it down really quickly for you by domain, and domain 1 is student achievement. It is the ratings based on how many students are receiving approaches, meets, or masters grade level on STAR, as well as how many students graduate and whether those students are ready for CCMR, or college, career, military ready. So it just breaks down the different categories, and then you can see elementary and junior high here in CCISD are 100% STAR. So that's all that is considered for them in domain 1, it's just straight STAR. But the high schools are 40% STAR, 40% college, career, military ready, and 20% for their graduation rate. So the high school's accountability is different in domain 1 than our junior high and our elementary. And then this shows you the districts across the state in domain 1. So you can look at how we did in a minute and compare it to how other districts did across the state. So 19% of districts increased in their rating from the prior year in domain 1. 91% of districts stayed the same or improved from the prior year. So lots of staying the same, you can see. And in the district domain 1, so this is the first slide where you can actually see us compared to the state, how CCISD did. So the top graph in the color with the bars is the state's performance on STAR. And then in the bottom chart, you can see apples to apples comparison for how CCISD did on the district star performance. And so at approaches, we outperformed the state in reading, and we were the same as the state in math. This is all tests. And then outperformed the state in science, and we're the same in social studies. And so you can see each of those categories: approaches, meets, and masters. So, compared to the state. Domain 2 is school progress. This is where the state very much emphasizes student growth. And so this is how students are progressing year over year. Are they growing at least 1 year academically? And are they moving from failing to passing? So that's what accelerated means. Are they going up one full category from did not meet to approaches or higher? And then it also compares students' relative performance. So that is how we are doing compared to other schools and districts that are like us in terms of economically disadvantaged students. So comparing like districts, and that helps because it's difficult to compare a Highland Park ISD to a CCISD. So this is comparing us to districts that are very much like us in how we're made up. And so you can see domain 2 is the student progress. So it's measuring if students go from low approaches to meets, or if they're growing in those categories from did not meet to approaches, and if they're moving. And then on the far right side, you'll see a scatter plot that shows how these ratings are determined. And so you'll see the percentage of economically disadvantaged students there at the bottom compared to student achievement moving up the graph there. And so you'll see the more economically disadvantaged you are as a district, the easier, per se, it is to earn a higher letter grade. So they've scaled that a little bit there. And so in domain 2, there were 23% of districts that increased their rating from the prior year across the state, and 86% of districts stayed the same or improved from the prior year. And then the third domain, and the last domain, is called closing the gaps. And in closing the gaps, this is comparing student groups, different subpopulations of students, and how they're performing when compared to all students. So this is where we really are watching our subpopulations to make sure they're growing at the same rate as our all students category. And this explains it in great detail, but the groups are made up of race and ethnicity groups, special education. Continuously enrolled are our mobile students, highly mobile, emergent bilingual or ESL, and economically disadvantaged. And those are the sub-pops that we are watching there. And so this is how the state did across the state. Texas districts, 33% of districts increased their rating in domain 3, and 83% of districts stayed the same or improved from the prior year. Okay, now we're going to talk about local comparisons. So, like I was mentioning, we are in comparison groups. So we're compared to campuses that are like us and schools of similar demographic profiles. And schools in the top 25% of that comparison group earn distinctions. So you'll hear us talk about distinction designations. When a campus earns those, that means that they're in the top 25% or the top quarter of their comparison group, okay? And so this is a district comparison. This is actually showing you our data compared to other surrounding districts. And so you can see that in, this one is 24-25, so our most recent year, CCISD earned a B. And this compares us to Killeen ISD and Temple ISD. And so you can see our accountability ratings there in that first column and comparing them to surrounding and nearby districts. Also at the bottom, you'll notice our graduation rate is trending upwards from 4-year to 5-year to 6-year. And so those students While they may not have graduated in 4 years, they may be at crossroads and they get caught up and then they graduate their 5th or their 6th year, or they might be at the high school and they just got behind in credits and they're making those up. So that's the graduation rate there at the bottom over time. So, and then on the next slide, the first column is still us. So CCISD again, this compares us to Belton and Gatesville. And so you can see different domains of student achievement, school progress, and closing the gaps, and how we're doing when compared to those other 2 districts that are neighboring. So, by and large, very proud of how CCISD is doing, and I wanted y'all to see that apples to apples comparison to other districts that we are surrounded by. We believe CCISD is the district of choice in Central Texas, and certainly from our surrounding districts, we are, our students are more than holding their own. So very, very happy with that. This shows you all of Region 12, and so Region 12, you can see the amount of A's. It has gone up in 2025. A little bit increase in the amount of B's in Region 12, and then a small decrease in the amount of C's, and a small decrease in D's, and an increase in the F rating though. So very, very interesting graph looking at Region 12 over time, and so looking at how our surrounding districts are doing. And then that brings me to CCISD. We're going to take a deeper dive into our local accountability A to F. That was our big overview. So CCISD's 2024 rating, remember we got 2 ratings, came out at the same time. Our 2024 rating was an 82B in 2024, and we maintained at an 82B in 2025. So exactly the same overall rating. I will show you a little bit how there were some shifts in how we did overall. And so in our student achievement, we were an 82B. Our school progress, we're an 82B. And our closing the gaps, we're an 83B. And then those little dots below here that you can see, that shows you how we were doing over the last few years. So that shows last year, the 23-24, we went up in closing the gaps from 78 to 83, but we had a slight trend down from 84 to 82 in school progress, and a slight trend up from 81 to 82 in student achievement. And so that kept our overall rating, even though there was some fluctuation in the different domains, that kept our overall rating at an 82B, excuse me. Okay. Any questions about the district? Okay, I'm going to move on. This is the district's college, career, and military ready. So you can see here we received a distinction at Copperas Cove High School, and you'll remember that if we receive a distinction designation, it means we're in the top 25% of our comparison group. And so our high school had 98% college, career, military ready graduates. And that is outstanding, just so you know, and compared to our peers, that is far and away a lot of work gone into that right there. Same at Crossroads High School, we have a grade score of 100, and so they are working really hard. There are some shifts in the accountability system that will definitely impact us in the future, that's some changes that they've made, but we're really trying hard to get ahead of those things and make sure our students are still earning their college, career, and military readiness indicators. So we want our students to do well, and that's really a bragging point for our district right there. And then also our graduation rate at Copperas Cove High School, very proud of 95% graduation rate. This is our 4-year graduation rate. And then Crossroads High School, an 85% graduation rate, which is also good in the 4 years, okay? So those are also really, really wonderful. And then now we're to each individual campus. So Copperas Cove High School earned an overall rating in 2024 of an 89B, and we also were an 89B this year. That is really stuck in our craw a little bit. We thought we were gonna be an A at the high school, and you'll see why here. We were an A in student achievement, an A in school progress, and an 86 in closing the gaps. And even though our closing the gaps went up and our student achievement went up, and those are the only two, that's our 70 and our 30, they both went up, it still made us an 89. And so that's been hard because we know that we're doing A quality work over there, and we want to see that recognized. So we're still working on this.
They don't round up.
They didn't round. It went to the decimal, and they did not round, and so that's where that's at. But still very, very proud of our high school, and again, they're outperforming their peers, and so I can show you that if you'd like to see that. They're doing really well. Crossroads High School did earn an A in 2024, and then remember we have the 2 years, so in 2025 they earned a B. And so you can see they were a student achievement, they earned a B of 88, and then their school progress is actually in a decline there. And so that's what caused them to go from the A to the B, was the school progress, and then closing the gaps is an 81. So we're really watching that and working on that as we move forward. Cove Junior High in 2024 earned a 75C, and then they did trend upwards, and we're happy with that. We still want to move towards that B for Cove Junior High, but they now earned a 76C, and so you can see they made some progress in school progress, domain 2, and in closing the gaps, domain 3. And so that really helped them to go up 1 point in their overall rating. Then we have SC Lee Junior High. In 2024, they earned a C, a 76 out of 100. And then in 2025, they earned a 77. So very similar to Cove Junior High, moving up 1 point in their overall accountability rating. And you can see they really trended upwards significantly in closing the gaps from a 67 to an 82. So lots of work there that helped them move that accountability rating forward 1 point. And then Clements Parsons' overall rating was in 2024 was an 86B. And then now they are at an 88B for 2025. And you can see their student achievement was a 77C, their school progress an 87B, and their closing the gaps is their shining star with a 90A. And they came up 5 points in closing the gaps there. Williams Ledger in 2024 earned a 78C, and then they're very proud of this. So if you see them, talk to them and tell them congratulations. They moved to an 82B. So a big jump for Williams Ledger Elementary. They went up in every single domain, and they worked really, really, really hard on some various things to move into that B status and improve that overall rating. Hetty Halstead in 2024 earned a 76C, and in 2025 they moved to a 78C, and so improvement in school progress is their part that counted for them. Their student achievement actually didn't count. Their school progress is what counted in their 70%, because remember, it's the higher of the two. And then Fairview Miss Jewel earned an 84B in 2024, and they trended upwards and earned an 87B. So again, for them, the two categories that counted are school progress and closing the gaps. And you can see that both of those, school progress and closing the gaps, moved up from 23 to 24. House Creek Elementary earned an 82B in 2024, and in 2025 they earned an 80B. And so there's some areas where we're going to work on and make sure that they continue to make progress at House Creek. But they had been higher, and so there is some variation there as well. Martin Walker, I think might be our last campus that we're going to look at tonight. In 2024, they earned an 85B, and in 2025, they earned a 91A. So very happy for Martin Walker Elementary, very proud of their work. You can see that there are two buildings that counted, is school progress and closing the gaps. And they went up pretty significantly in both of those areas. So very, very good there. Final note to close on Martin Walker with that A. So any questions? Yes?
I know between 2022, 2023, that's when they changed the grading scale again.
Yes.
That's the reason you see that drop
2022, you see the drop. Yes, ma'am.
in all of them from 2022 and
Yes.
23 to 23, 24.
Yes.
They changed how you grade them significantly.
Yes, they did.
So there's a drop there for everything.
Yes, that was our recent year. You'll see it in 2017 and you'll see it in 2022. Both of those years, the accountability, they did an accountability redesign, and I presented to the board about that when it happened and talked to y'all about the standards changing and increasing. And there were some things that I thought we might never adjust to, but we have worked really hard and got our feet under us, and you can see the progress in our schools. And I feel good about where we're going and what we have going on now. It's exciting to be out on the campuses and see all the great instruction happening in the classrooms. And so I'm excited about the future for CCISD, but I definitely wanted to answer any questions you guys might have about accountability.
It referenced the junior high schools, because obviously there's some trends, right? Well, there's no trend, it's pretty much steady.
Yes.
What's the effort to address the challenges at the junior high? Where are we focusing resources to get after that?
So we are working really hard on response to intervention and then our advanced. So our goal is to move all of our students to meets. And you're right, you can see a very steady, it's 1 point growth, but it's not enough for a big jump. And so junior high students, over time, they're in that in-between stage, and I won't make excuses about that, but I will say it's much harder because if you look at the 5th grade standard to 6th grade, it is very hard to show progress from 5th to 6th grade because the standard jumps so much. So it's not like here's the standard and if I make growth, it jumps significantly. And so in order to make growth, they have to make a year's progress plus some. And the way that's set up, it happens in English 1 to English 2,
Okay.
and it happens in 5th grade and 6th grade. The standards jump, big jumps. And so that is part of it.
And conversely, everybody's trying to figure out the junior high phenomenon
Yeah.
because it's the same for everybody in the state. Those scores are.
It's tough.
Relax.
It's part of the way the system is designed.
With the high school, right? I mean,
Yeah.
high school showed remarkable progress
Yeah.
over what was, 8 years ago.
True.
Right?
True.
And knocking it out.
And in both, in student achievement and in CCMR.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
not just like
It's not one or the
student
other.
growth here, not here.
It's balanced.
Yes.
Right? It's a balanced focus. And there's
I,
definitely a challenge at the
Yeah.
junior high.
we are working really closely. We have new instructional coaches. We have some new leadership over at one of our campuses. Just changes are difficult anytime there's change, but we're working really, really hard. I was excited to have Kat Bainey focusing this year and helping me focus on our secondary campuses, and Brianne Turner working with our elementaries. And so I know lots of intervention conversations have been happening with these kids that are behind, and what are we doing, and making sure we have them in appropriate coursework to get them caught up. So I know there's a lot going on. I see it, and we hope it pays off. So there's a lot of work going on. Our kids, I always tell people this: they're more than a STAR test. There's so many great things going on, as you saw with the clubs and everything. And so this is just one measure on one day, but we do feel like it is a measure that we can stick to and hold firm to.
So
that
closing
they're
the gaps
making
is the other
achievements.
measure, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, absolutely, there's a huge difference in the 6th grade aspect of it, but you got 2 years to address that.
Right,
And of course, now they're feeding into the high school.
yes.
It looks like our elementary schools are fairly well balanced, feeding into the junior highs,
Mhm.
fairly balanced feeding into the junior highs. but there's obviously some sort of effort challenge at the junior high schools.
We also, I will say, we aren't letting them coast.
No.
So I want to point out that our junior highs run an advanced math curriculum, and we're taking, all of our 8th graders are taking Algebra 1 in 8th grade, and that is not typical. There's not a district around us doing that. And in some ways, we feel like there's, you know, that cost benefit analysis, we're getting more than 80% of our 8th graders to pass the Algebra 1 test in 8th grade, and everybody else is taking it in 9th grade. And so, but that accelerated math pathway is more challenging and more rigorous for our junior high students than our peers. And there is a bit of a cost for that. And so we
What else
feel like it
besides-
pays off at the high school, but it's hard in junior high.
And foreign language too, at the junior.
Yes, we have
right?
both Spanish 1, Spanish 2, German 1, German 2, and American Sign Language. Our kids have amazing opportunities in Cove. I don't think people realize exactly what they're getting when they come to Cove. But when, I can tell you, I've had lots of people reach out after, if they leave or PCS, I have some friends that have said, oh my goodness, there's nothing like what y'all were giving where we landed. And so they're very thankful, but sometimes, I hate to say it, you have to leave it to realize what you had, you know, and so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're constantly working to improve, and so, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I just wanted y'all to know where we are in A to F for 2 years and one fell swoop there.
That's amazing. High school, like I said, 89% the
Yeah,
first couple
want
years.
that A so bad, they do too, they can taste it.
And I thank Jimmy Shuck for some of that too at the high
Yes.
school.
Definitely,
Oh, I
definitely
see.
strong leadership
He was there
over time.
when that happened, when it moved.
You look so happy about it.
He does.
He was.
He looks excited about that.
He tunes out when we talk about accountability.
You were just being congratulated for your work at the high school and how the improvements that
It was
happened.
significant.
Oh, it's every bit of the people that are working there.
I know, but someone named Jimmy Shuck was the leader there for a while.
Great
So,
resources with Ms. Crawley up there helping, so.
Wow.
All right.
What a team, Hawk.
Yeah.
No doubt.
all right, we also have the Emergent Bilingual Program Annual Report listed there. It's of course,
That just goes over our ESL and bilingual education. As you guys know, at Clements Parsons Elementary, we have bilingual students in one class at every grade level. Those classes are full with English-speaking students and Spanish-speaking students, and so it's not a full immersion program, but they learn in both languages. And so our Spanish-speaking students are learning to speak English, and our English-speaking students are learning to speak Spanish. And you've seen our 5th graders earning their language credit in 5th grade, so we know it's working, and we are producing bilingual students. And then that report goes over our district-wide, where our students are and how they're performing on TELPAS, which is the assessment of English language proficiency, and what languages are spoken across our district. And so,
Do we have any students that are fully Spanish speaking?
yes, we do.
Do you have a number?
I don't, I'll get with Rita and I can get that for you,
That's
but
okay.
we have a lot of fully Spanish-speaking students that we have what we call a newcomers class. And if they don't speak any English, we have them with someone who is really, gifted and knows and well educated on how to teach students that have, they're
Right.
needing a full, starting with the alphabet and the numerals and moving forward, so.
Thank you.
But we do have a good little population there, and it's growing in Copperas Cove, so that shows that as well, how we're growing.
all right. We will now have our construction report. Dr. Hawkins is going to give us a briefing on that.
I am going to forward y'all the information that I believe I have here for Mr. Wilburn's question. So be looking for that.
Okay.
after this meeting, yeah, construction, I think, is necessary to probably put on each board agenda for the foreseeable future, because you're gonna have, Williams Ledger, which I've kind of touched on and hit on. But we've also got other things that are going on too, like the baseball, softball, renovations, and I think it's, incumbent on us to make sure that we're putting out exactly where we are and where we're standing with those things. But before we do that, I wanted to go back to, you remember we had this committee of community that made a recommendation to you as a board that that you go out for a $165 million bond. And the other part of that is that those other things that were not prioritized on the top 3 of their prioritization list, that you as a board would look at those things and that you would prioritize and address those with fund balance. And so I just wanted to kind of get you updated on where we are with that. Jimmy and Thomas have been working to put together a needs assessment of all of the roofs in the district and what it would take to get every roof in the district under warranty, okay? And so those numbers will be coming soon, okay? Like a lot of other stuff, you deal with contractors, and so it's kind of a little slow going. People don't work 7 days a week like, some folks do, but nonetheless, I think it's important that we get those numbers on the roofs. They're also working on numbers for HVAC systems that are those 200 units that are 20 years or older, looking at a plan for those in order to align that $7.5 million worth of deferred maintenance items along with those roofs and HVAC, okay? And so the second part of that is one of the other things that we've talked about in meetings is the elementary playground aspect. And Jimmy, you are meeting with Gallagher Construction tomorrow.
Yes, sir. 1 o'clock.
They're meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock. It's taking some time to get their specialist out so that they can look at what the standard is compared to where we are on those things. And so we'll have that coming in a future board presentation, as well as the architect Hudson has been working on things like the ag livestock complex and other ancillary projects that went along with that. So he will bring some numbers too, and we'll get all those numbers. Hopefully by October, you'll have the numbers and can have some conversations about moving forward, and so that we're, doing the things that we need to do to make sure that we don't have another roof like Williams Ledger. If every roof in your district is under warranty, then that wouldn't happen. And so that's what we're kind of trying to shoot at among these other projects. The baseball, softball conversion, the plans have been submitted to the city. They're waiting for one of the permits, and so they can't do anything until the permits are approved. I met with Mr. Havilah, and he assures me that they're working on it, and they're going to get a reasonable turnaround to the district on that, so that we can start moving dirt and start working through that process on that, because we got a drop dead date there that if we go beyond, then we start to push into seasons and we start having to be road warriors, and the kids have to play road games rather than home games. And so we're very optimistic that won't have to happen.
Dr. Hawkins, what are the 6 permits? I mean, do you have any idea?
Yeah,
The main one that's holding up for them pushing dirt.
the water retention, aspect of it as to whether you can tie into existing water
That retention pond?
Or do you have to dig a retention pond, or exactly what the engineer will allow in that case? Look, I've had new construction, the retention ponds
Yeah.
Good joke.
they don't work.
Clogged up.
You can say what you want to, but they don't work, you know. All it takes is somebody's, you know, cap to stop up one of those grates, and now you got a lake sitting out there that's filled up in a flash flood. And so, you know, you're better to divert water in different ways, or that's what I've seen in school construction that is more effective. There's also fencing permits. I think there's even permits, Jimmy, if we're taking down our old fence and putting our old fence back up in some areas, and you even have to have a permit for that.
Gosh.
Yeah, the concrete, make sure that they look, and bless you, that there's enough metal in the concrete that's actually on what centers that it's on. And then there's also the adjustment in some of the lighting, that,
You have to have a permit to adjust the lights?
Because of the splash of lighting into residential, especially at softball, well, softball and baseball.
Are they gonna
Beam
at their
house with noise abatement at the stadium.
Me too.
So that's where we are with that construction project. You know, I'll keep you informed as we move along. I know we're also meeting with Symmetry tomorrow, is on the calendar, to meet with them. So meeting with Symmetry and Gallagher tomorrow, to try to move some of those things forward. Any questions about any of those?
Regarding the playground, so when you're thinking of numbers, is it replacing all elementaries, old playgrounds and adding canopy, or?
It's establishing the standard for what our playgrounds should look like. And then doing a needs assessment based on what that standard is. So if the standard model's sitting in front of us, then we measure each playground against that standard to see what's lacking. And then we, you know, address it from that perspective. Because we've got very much variances in our playgrounds right now.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering.
Yeah.
Some need it more than the others.
Well, yeah, there's some haves and have-nots there, and, you know, I think that's very unfortunate.
Right.
From the standpoint of, as y'all have heard me say before, kids across our district should be exposed to the same opportunities in curriculum, instruction, in programmatic, as well as the same standard of facilities, and that includes locker rooms, classrooms, labs, and playgrounds alike. And so, you know, we don't want to set up a school that is here on playgrounds and one that's here. And of course, now, once we get to that standard, obviously, you know, the PTOs need to supplement and help those things along to, in order to maintain those. But I think it's incumbent upon us to try to get to a standard. You know, one of the other things that we were talking about with, I was talking about when Ms. Manning and I had our one-on-one in construction of the board agenda. And for everybody that don't know, we have a board planning calendar, a board monitoring calendar that we pull items from, as well as things that come from legislative updates through our different associations to create a board agenda draft. And the board president and superintendent sets down and as well as items that come through the board operating procedure format in order to develop an agenda that goes out to the board prior to a meeting so that questions can be asked and everything. So during those conversations, Ms. Manning and I was talking, and one of the things that we talked about is once we get things up to a standard, that we also want to ensure that Mr. Robbins has enough funds, because it seems like from time to time he's quite destitute in his department. And we want to make sure that there is cameras on on a couple of the playgrounds, because we want to make sure that we open up access for the community. Obviously not during the school day. That's at a time that we are using those playgrounds, but, opening up access after school for, moms, pops, grandmas in the community that can use those. And then we can lock them up before the day is over with. It's not gonna be a security aspect because, number one, we hope that everybody in the community understands that this school belongs to them. And so if you tear it up, you tear up something that belongs to you. And then we've got cameras there, which if anything does happen, we can make sure that we, hold the people accountable that destructed any property or anything like that. So we think that's a good thing to work toward, so that, we're a community school and we want to make sure that we serve our community in multiple ways.
Instead of having them all fenced and locked up all the time after school's over with.
Well,
So-
in talking, where I came from, we left the playgrounds open. Now, obviously, we didn't leave the athletic fields open because, we had boys in East Texas and they like to ride horses, and they
Yeah.
ride horses out on the
track.
athletic fields and stuff like that. What happens when a horse goes out on AstroTurf?
Yeah.
Not good things happen because somebody has to clean it up. And so,
But it used to be open.
yeah, and so when you do things like that, you have people that ride four-wheelers and stuff like
Yeah.
that. They don't seem to tear up elementary playgrounds, and we've allowed folks to do that and never had a problem with it, and I'm sure, though, there's always one instance of something that makes it tough on everybody else, but hopefully we can put things in place to make sure that, that there's some security aspect to
So
that.
Kip's gonna look for some money.
Just
sure-
make sure they're good cameras, not the pixelated cameras like this.
Yeah.
I'm sure Kip will have some kind of drone, a guard drone or something that will fly around there.
Motion detector
Not like a
drone.
convenience store camera.
Yeah, that's what I referred, the pixelated
Yeah.
ones.
Where you can't tell who's the robber.
All right, any other questions? All right, under our consent agenda, if you'll bear with me while I read everything, and then we will go back to those items and have, of course, Dr. Hawkins explain some, and then we'll be discussing some of them probably at length, but if you'll just let me go through them really quickly. First, we'll discuss previous Board of Trustees meeting minutes. This is all under the consent agenda. We have a budget workshop meeting that happened on August 7th, 2027. Our workshop meeting minutes on August 11th, 2025, I'm sorry. August 11th, 2025. Our regular meeting minutes, August 12th, 2025. A special called meeting minutes, August 19th, 2025. And a special meeting including public hearing minutes from August 28th, 2025. And then another special meeting minutes, August 31st, 2025. It reminds me of this reminds me, all those minutes, of a lady that asked me one time when she was thinking about running for school board. She said, well, y'all don't have meetings in the summertime, do you? And I said, probably more than we have
Yeah.
any other time, especially August. So we had lots of meetings in August, so she said, oh, not interested then. She was very much taken aback, and she wasn't gonna waste her time going to meetings in August. Anyway, every time I read those, I think about her. Then we have discussion and financial statements and payment of bills. We'll discuss to approve purchases over $50,000. First, the purchase of 113 Dell Pro 14 Plus laptops. This is DIR CPO 5792 for $134,077.89. This is from budgeted funds. We have purchase of 1,300 Dell Chromebooks for students, DIR CPO 5792 for for $448,864 from budgeted funds. Purchase of 2 Dell servers, 1 Power Store, support migration and install, DIR CPO 5792, $194,800.38 from budgeted funds. We have a purchase of Lightspeed software. This is classroom technology, and it's from Borderland Security quote number 2025-DS-36SL for $69,000, and again from budgeted funds. We have the purchase of Cisco Meraki switches and wireless access points. It's CDW-G TXDIR from Cisco DIR CPO 5347, and it's for $97,696.68 from budgeted funds. Then we have Renew NWEA Map Growth K through 12 and Map Growth Science, and it is R1924-7474 instructional for $97,242, and this is from IMA funds. We have a purchase of a 2026 Chevrolet truck for Copperas Cove High School CTE programs. This is a preferred vendor 2024-25 and BB 670-22 of May 2025 for $61,391.75, and this is from budgeted funds. We have the purchase of 2 passenger buses from Longhorn Bus Sales Buy-Board Contract number 630-20 for $308,788, again budgeted funds. And we have a purchase of 6 fleet vehicles from Don Hewlett's Chevrolet, and this is government pricing, $126,196.50 from budgeted funds. A purchase of 3 maintenance trucks and 1 cargo van, again Don Hewlett Chevrolet, government pricing for $151,185.54 from budgeted funds. And then we'll consider and discuss to approve a budget amendment, and it's one that Jeff and Tim asked to be put on tonight's agenda. Then we'll consider and discuss to adopt non-business days to meet HB 3033 requirements for the 2025-2026 school year. And our last item there under consent agenda is an out-of-state trip, an annual one to for the OASIS, the Oklahoma Impact Aid group that the superintendent and I usually go to in November, and it's just a 2-night trip, Impact Aid conference. So those items are all there. Dr. Hawkins, I don't know which ones you want to go back to and talk about.
Well, I will defer some of the conversations because items 1 through 5, I think Kit would probably be better suited to talk about that than I do. I feel the pain of it, and I know that he's like a happy father in the delivery room. He's smiling. He can't wait to
Talk about it.
Yeah, to let the gate open so that he can get out there and make a difference with these funds. So Kit, you want to just explain?
Yeah, I mean, everything except for number 3, this is all for the kids. I mean, the struggle is real, and the best way I can describe it is a lot of these devices that were purchased, they were purchased back when we were in Windows 10. And Windows 10 was a small package on these devices. Windows 11, not so much. It's a heavy load. And so these kids are really struggling, not just with the age of the devices, the age of those batteries wearing out, but the overall operating system. So, you know, we're moving to a Google world on these devices, and this is going to give us the biggest bang. A lot of the stuff we did when we purchased for the insurance helped us to be able to take care of 4th and 5th grade this year. That's a big, big, bite out of the cookie. And so As soon as y'all approve this, this month, we're ready to get them in, we're ready to get them into the hands of those kids, and I know those teachers are gonna be super excited. We're already seeing a change at the junior high where y'all approved that last year, and those kids got those, devices. They're being used. Go walk the junior high. I mean, it's amazing. And so going back to the number 3, which is the Dell servers, we got pushed into this world. We're not the only school district that has had to redo their virtual system. So all of our servers that sit in our NOC, we've used a product, schools have used a product for years and years. It used to cost $2,500 a year for the maintenance. That maintenance contract now is over $30,000. I mean, so they really don't want schools to be part of that. They have moved into the Fortune 500 companies, and they don't care about us. So because of that, we've had to, and along with other school districts, have had to really beg, borrow, and steal to make that happen. And I'm very grateful that we're able to do that. But guys, that is more than half my budget you're seeing there right there.
Yeah.
We have taken stuff that we did not need today. Our need is in the classroom, and that's where this money's going.
So, go ahead and talk about a flat network. We need to get that stunt thrown on the table as well.
Well, you know, Mike, and you probably, you know, explain the parable a little better. The man that builds his house on
Sand.
you know, on strong, rocky soil, and the man that builds it on sandy soil. Our network is on sand. And the house is there, but all these issues that we are seeing in the classroom,
Deteriorate.
I can't tell you if it's a device issue on some, you know, where a teacher device, can't tell you if it's a wireless issue. The best way to describe it is I-35, you're going to Dallas, and you have a toll road, you have a HOV lane, and then you've got all these other traffic lanes. And you have forced all your traffic to use one lane coming and going. Imagine what that would look like. Well, that's our network. Nothing is separated out the way it should be. And I've got to tell you, Dr. Hawkins did this to me about 10 years ago, and I thought that was a unicorn. But in 2025, to say that we have a flat network, it's embarrassing. I mean, I was rather, we had one little situation on the first day of school. We had phones go out, and I asked a simple question. I said, you know, do we have QoS on our phones? And quality of service. So that's the HOV lane. You want that to have dedicated traffic. And they looked at me and they go, well, you know, we kind of, I said, no, you can't have kind of QoS. You have to either have it or you don't. And that's when I found out that we had a flat network. So on top of that, we've got some switches that go in dentist's office, not in an enterprise level thing. But the nice thing about that is, as I'm going through, we overspent on switches, on upgrading some of those. So we're going to be able to move some of that stuff around. We'll still have to spend some money, but more than anything, it's going to be stuff that you'll never see. Hours and hours and hours of segmenting things out, implementing things slowly so we don't disturb the environment. But it's a foundation work, and so it's stuff that, you know, nobody likes to talk about roofs because they're, you know, they're roofs. No one likes to talk about that because it's just something you don't see. But it was rather disappointing to hear, to say the least.
So what are we gonna have to do to get off that flat?
So I'm working with 2 different vendors. I took Cisco, who we currently use, and I took HP, and I'm kind of putting them up against each other. Even though I don't need to buy, you know, switches, there's some cores that I'll still need to buy. But they've got the real smart people that do all the designing, and they can give us an implementation. This won't be done until summer of next year, but it gives us the ability to start building this out and putting what we need, you know, out, you know, or in plan, so that when we have those weeks off, the, you know, spring break and even Christmas break, we'll start being able to implement on a small scale. But we look to have everything done by the start of school next year.
You can get us off of 35 and get us on a toll road then.
Yes, sir.
HOV lane, hurricane lane,
Well,
something.
and, you know, it allows you to be able to troubleshoot stuff. I mean, you know, you're just in a position now when a teacher told me the other day, she goes, will you please fix my wireless in my classroom? I said, please tell me more, because, you know, I want to hear what she's saying. Well, then when she told me that, she goes, well, you know, when I'm on my cell phone and I'm trying to text my daughter, it won't go through. And I'm like, well, are you on the Wi-Fi or on the school wireless? No, it's my cell signal. I really can't help you with that.
The cell signal.
But you don't know unless you, I mean, everybody thinks
I don't wanna
you
ask
have a
that.
wireless problem.
Don't
It
answer
very
that.
well
What's she
could
doing
be
on her cell
something
phone?
else.
It's like my iPad being.
So what's the first campus that's gonna be fixed?
Throw it.
It's actually not gonna be a campus, it's the first thing. So the first thing we gotta do is get our phones on QoS. But, you know, unfortunately, if you've ever been on a phone call and you have bad reception, you get that, well, that's because you don't, you know, you can't give quality of service on something like that. So phones need to be our number one priority, so that's gonna be pushed out to all the campuses, probably over the Christmas break. It'll take a little bit of while to get everything, because you gotta get all the IP addressing and all that kind of stuff done.
That's kind of unfortunate considering that the state mandated no private devices.
Well,
Right.
this is on, not cell phone. this
Oh,
is on-
I know, I'm tracking, right?
Oh,
So-
yeah.
This is our,
So, talk about a perfect storm, so the state mandated no private devices, but we have a network that's 15 years ancient,
Oh,
not a
easy,
network.
easy,
right?
easy.
So,
Yeah.
we have bandwidth evidently,
Oh,
right?
you have more than enough bandwidth in this district, and it's, you know, we've done some really good things. Our security is good, as far as, I can't log into Office 365 without authenticating at least 3 or 4 times.
Nobody
Again,
Good luck with that on the first try.
I have ports on the wall that I can take my device, any device, and plug in, and then plug into my computer, and now I'm on your network, and I can do anything I want to do. So it's kind of like, you know, you put, you know, burglar bars up, but then you left your front door wide open.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of, there's plenty of blame to go around, but at the end of the day, we're gonna get it fixed.
yeah.
Well, I just know it'll be a
That's
lot
the
of,
important part.
in all seriousness, it's a lot of heavy lifting.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not just doing the normal job, it's building an airplane in the air. So,
Thanks, all.
you bet. Hey,
You got a parachute, Kim?
just know that I got confidence in you.
I appreciate it.
Number 6 there is a item that is a reoccurring purchase, and that's from the IMA funds. And for those non-educators in the room, that's instructional material allotment money. Number 7, number 8, number 9, and number 10 is all in Dr. Shuck's area. So, Jimmy, you want to talk about your new fleet that you're amassing there? Or is it, I mean, you
Let me
could
ask a
almost
question.
invade some foreign land with it.
Let me ask the question, go through it. Is that a 2-passenger bus, or is it 2 buses that are, what size are those?
There's 72 passenger buses.
Oh, okay.
The,
I just read purchase 2-passenger buses. I was wondering,
Comma.
okay. So they're not the small ones, or the regular
They're
passenger?
regular buses.
Okay.
We're continuing to work through and replace those buses so that we don't have any routes that are being run without air conditioners on those.
Wow.
The thing, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, we have, after these 2 buses, we only have 2 other buses that don't have 2 other routes?
It's 3. Yes, it's 3.
That won't have AC on those routes, and the routes that Mike has been very, in their planning, trying to ensure that the buses that don't have AC are the shortest routes that we have in the district, so that kids aren't on the bus for an extended amount of time. We haven't purchased fleet vehicles in the district, it is now getting, the reimbursement rate it is cheaper for us to use our vehicles to travel outside of the district rather than paying mileage. And so the biggest need that we have is not necessarily for the Suburbans, but we see many more 2 and 3 and 4 people going to a training. So the Chevy Tracks that we're going to be purchasing will accommodate so that they don't take a 6-person, so that when you have a larger group going to a training or something along those lines, that those become available. Right now, sometimes they take the Suburban and it's for 2 people. And so we need to be more diligent about updating our fleet. Same thing with maintenance. The maintenance, they have typically been getting the transportation trucks leftovers, and so the age of their maintenance fleet, as you see, the trucks driving around the district, they are still driving some trucks that are about 20 years old. And so,
You know, though, people appreciate that
Absolutely.
about the school district,
Yep.
that they do have some of the old, they don't have to have completely new trucks every year or completely new cars. I hear that all the time from people that say, you know, I know some of these trucks and vehicles that I see from CCISD, they look ancient, you know.
They're still running?
We
But,
still have one vehicle I think we could probably make some money on. It
What's
was back
that?
during the Apollo days. We still have the NASA sticker on it.
Does it?
Dodge van, yeah, Dodge
Yes,
van?
somebody
That's
made
pretty
us
cool.
road that, and we could probably sell that thing.
but that was just I just wanted to say that.
What's the
as
Kelly
a-
Blue Book value?
You know, a good thing, because I don't think our city
No.
believes the same way we do. We maintain things, and I give that to appreciate our maintenance people and our transportation people, that they keep them running, and they're being used, and some of them do look pretty old. They are pretty old.
You've been on the board long enough, Joan, that you probably approved those, the
Oh,
purchase of
yeah,
those
probably
vehicles.
so.
Oh, no, there's trucks older than that.
Older than that.
Trucks older
There's
than
several
20
trucks
years
that are
old.
older than that. Which is, you know, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it
I
is.
think
That
it's
means they've
right.
been maintained pretty well if they're still running like that.
That's right.
So, Dr.
Anyway, I
Shuck,
didn't mean to interrupt you, Dr. Shuck.
would the vehicles that are coming in and replaced, are you getting rid of the old ones, or are you still hanging on to them?
no, we're going to still hold on to those. Kip needs some vehicles. He
Chip.
doesn't want to spend his money on that, so we've already given him about 6 different vehicles. I think he's got as many vehicles within.
He said 3.
Well, you kept on stealing the food service trucks.
Hey, we don't have to, you know what, we can leave there every night and they're always there the next morning.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah. That group of nerds needs
Hey,
them.
we're appreciative of them though, I'll tell you that. It's nice to be able to have vehicles to be able to do our job.
So they do that work in AC, so the guys are appreciative of that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Some
sir.
of them
Things to
do.
transportate, you know, the transportation
Nice when
mechanics
you go
really
to
do a
training.
great job. I gotta give a shout out, Mike. Y'all do a phenomenal job over there.
Some of them will have to be rolled out.
Of course.
Some of them become a safety issue.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Very true.
the last one is the CTE Ag truck.
Yeah.
That is gonna be a heavier duty vehicle, as we have, I think we have our first couple of kids, Nicole, correct me if I'm wrong, that are doing the steer. And so we need a vehicle that's gonna be able to pull a bigger trailer and be able to do all that, so. That also helps with them. This will be a dually, so that there's not that, we have a lot of demand
Well, two.
for the dually, especially, like Van has to use it for pulling the competition, as
Right.
well as the tractor trailer and all those different components, so. CT has the money budgeted, Mr. Turner's done a great job of timing and getting that stuff updated for our kids.
And that's the closest place we could find, or they're the preferred vendor?
So that's the best rate.
Okay.
We reached out to,
So what, 21 grand a vehicle, I think?
Well, it's just,
I think it totaled out that round.
it's interesting, right? Contract guy, my own contract. So we drive a lot of Chevys.
Yeah.
Don Hewlett Chevrolet, every one of them are from Don Hewlett
Right.
Chevrolet. And, hey, I'm all about keeping, American, but I think we're buying 10 vehicles all from the same dealer.
Right.
So we put out a request on buy board. Mike, you want to talk about the requests, because you're the one that did most of the all.
We did put out some requests for some different vendors and got no response. I visited a few different vendors around. I went to Lampasas and spoke to one of their salespeople up there. They never got back to us. I contacted Jeff Hoover down at Don Hewlett. He responded to me that day. He started giving me quotes that day. Pricing, $21,000 for the tracks. I think if you look at the sticker on some of them with the same model, we're $23,000 at a dealer. He's given us some good discounts. He's gonna set us up what's called a FAN account, which is more of a government agency like a school district.
Well, I'm not gonna complain about the pricing, right? I mean, it's a safe car, reliable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you can't beat the pricing. 130,000 for 6, that's pretty darn good.
61,000 for a dually.
Yeah, we also.
We
Bring up
revised as
another
well,
brand,
we got the
don't they?
quotes, I'm sorry.
I mean, if you tried, that's it.
We got quotes
Yeah.
from Ford as well,
Uh-huh.
and their prices were higher than what we were.
Significantly, I
able to
imagine.
get.
Too many recalls with them too.
I'm kinda like Miss Manning in this deal. I've been around long enough to see cycles, and you'll see school districts, when you see that government price in there, I've bought from different vendors before, and I would've loved to just wrote them a personal check
Yeah.
for the vehicle that I was buying for the school, and, that's kind of illegal, so I didn't do that, but,
Kind of illegal.
the government pricing though, y'all, is that's the way you get that, and some of these dealers do not want to deal with the government pricing, because it's such a volume business, and you get the government pricing, they wanna get the maximum MSRP price that they can possibly get. And so their business model is completely different, so that's why you
Those
see a
dealers
lot
didn't
of
buy
people.
it full price.
But with the other thing is this, as I was saying about Miss Manning and my longevity, is I've seen that cycle, and I've seen times that you could only buy from, Dodge would be 5,000 a truck cheaper than Ford or Chevrolet.
Yeah.
And then the next time you bid, Ford is the cheapest, and so that governmental pricing deal kind of cycles around between those, and that's good, but the bad thing of it is that, when you get used to buying buses, as Mike knows, if you're buying buses, you wanna buy, a Thomas bus or an International bus, and you wanna buy those. You don't wanna buy 2 Thomases one year and an International the next year, because, a lot of times they've got a Cummins engine in them or whatever, and so the oil filters and everything are interchangeable, and you start having to, have problems just logistically in keeping up with the parts and things like that, so it becomes a nightmare. But, governmental pricing, nobody really asks us, so.
Do they all come with a full tank of gas?
They generally do, yeah, they
Really?
generally do, yeah.
Did they really?
Wow.
Do they only have the basic warranties on them, or did you get any type of extended coverage on government pricing?
No, it's the same, you get the same warranty generally, and as you do any person buying it off the lot.
Okay.
Pleasantly surprised at the tracks. It's a pretty decent SUV size-wise, right? I mean, it can fit 2 folks up front pretty well, and got a good crash rating, NHTSA rating, so that's nice.
All right, any other questions on vehicles? Okay. Next thing is, we talked about budget amendment, and we talked about it from the perspective of increasing to the 97% of that group 4. And let me walk through some things and talk through some things and researching after we talked about those things, so that you have all the information that you need. The first thing that I would say is this, we have a very much closer to a balanced budget than we've had in the last current budget and 2 previous budgets. So over the 3 budgets, we went from a $6 million deficit to what you adopted as a 2.6, but was really a 6. So you had, from my numbers, 2 6s back to back, down to $300 and some odd thousand, okay? My recommendation to you is this: if you have a true projection on the state funding template, stay balanced. That's what I think taxpayers want to see. Now, you can over-project and under-project in enrollment, and that fuzzies with the numbers, okay? So you got the M&O bucket that's sitting over here. And that's what you do all of your reoccurring expenses from. Just like in your household budget, you've got reoccurring expenses that comes out of your budget for gasoline or groceries that you're gonna eat every month. So you got that reoccurring expense. In the schools, that's labor. 83% of our budget is invested in labor, okay? And then you've got the INS budget, that's another pot of money over here. And that INS budget is basically the funding mechanism for which the state grants capital projects, and that's the way that districts pay for capital projects. Buildings, normally buses is a capital project, HVAC systems, roofs, all those things are capital projects, and you see districts pay fund balance out of those, okay? And so with that said, I think for the financial stability of the district, it's important to know how those things are like an algebraic equation. You gotta, what you take out of one side, you gotta do to keep them balanced. But the main thing is the fiduciary responsibility to keep that M&O budget balanced. Because if the M&O budget doesn't balance, then it starts draining from your fund balance, and it's like us living out of our savings account. Pretty soon, we don't have any more money left, okay? So, let me just talk about some of the rocks in the river, okay? We're whitewater rafting down the river, you want to avoid certain rocks. In order to get this thing where it is next year, I think becomes the inherent question, because we want to stay financially stable, okay? So in order to get it to where it is next year, we've got to overcome some things, okay? The first thing being that we need to overcome is just the increase that we know we're going to have in utilities, because our utility contracts are coming up, and that thing could double. Okay, so we've got to get back to where we are this year. We've got to figure out a way to make brick without straw, and to overcome that could be $1 million increase in the budget. Okay, so that's number one. The second thing that we've got to overcome is we're about 170 kids under where we were this time last year. So we've got to overcome about $1.7 million somewhere along the lines, okay? And so those are two big things that set out there. And I haven't even, we've had some discussion about the city street fees, okay? and I'm going to get with Mr. Haverlaw and talk through those things, because I have a whole lot of hope and prayer that the city will be understanding once they understand how this M&O budget functions and is made. Because I think there's anybody that would want $60,000 for us has an ignorance of the fundamentals of that M&O budget. And let me just, I'll say this for those of you who may not have heard about that M&O budget. We have a fixed, this is a fixed income here, fixed revenue, that every child is generating a per pupil allocation. And so that's all we're gonna get. We're not like Whataburger. We can't go in and add 50 cents to the price of the number one and generate more revenue. The only thing we can do is cut our expenses, because all we're gonna get is all we're gonna get. We can't, you know, it's not like at the auction barn when you run cattle through and where you like that calf and you don't like that calf, so there's a variance. There's a per pupil allocation here and it's fixed. And so there's no way to generate any more revenue out of that. And so if we pay to the street fund, then we gotta cut $60,000 out of the budget. And so how do you cut $60,000 out of the budget?
Teacher.
Well, or a school resource officer. I mean, we've got two, that's about $60,000. And so if the city council goes through with their plan, then ultimately they're cutting the security of the kids of Copperas Cove. And the bad thing about it is, think of it this way, and I'm going down a rabbit hole, I know, but I get fired up about this, because if you only get so much money, the state is sending you that money to educate kids, not build streets. Okay? That's a fundamental problem I got. You're getting this much money to educate kids, and every dollar you pull out of it is one less dollar that you can do something for a kid. And we're pulling it out to take care of a street. There's something fundamentally wrong about that, especially when the money we're pulling out is twice as much as Walmart's being asked to pull out. So anyway, I say those things to say this. If we give another bump in staff salaries, then that's more money that we have to overcome in this next year's budget, okay? And so that you kind of understand a healthy cycle. We have went away from a historic-based budget to a needs-based budget, trying to get to a performance-based budget. What does that mean? Historic budget says, hey, I've always spent, $700 at Whataburger, so I'm just going to put down that I spend $700 in the new budget. That's a historic-based budget. A needs-based budget is looking and saying this, hey, look, we're going to be out of town for a month, so we're not going to go to Whataburger. So this is the amount of weeks that we have and how many times we're going to eat at Whataburger, and this is what we're going to eat, and this is what it's cost, and you put the actual amount down there to eat out of. So that's a needs-based budget. I need this much money to eat at Whataburger. Okay, big difference in the way those two budgets function or whatever. So, but in a needs-based budget, the cycle you have in November, right before Thanksgiving, you make projections based on the next year's enrollment, okay? The next year's enrollment of students, you go through and you look at the trends historically of students. Are they trending downwardly? Are you a fast growth district? And you make an educated guess at what you think that the students will be at for next year. And then in January, late January to early February, you come in and you approve a staffing plan, okay? And that staffing plan then becomes how much staff aligns to the number of kids that you have, okay? And then once you approve that, then in March to April, you approve a compensation plan, okay? And all of that said that I didn't even mention anything about a 1%, 2%, 3% increase for the staff next year. So I wanted you to know all of the rocks in the creek before we look at increasing revenues and things like that in order to get to where we're trying to go. The other thing is, I did in your blue folder here, there is one thing that from the attorney that I will share in executive session. The second thing is from TASB, and it deals with mid-year increases in compensation. And it talks about the use of public funds. If you look on that second document, on the first page of it, it talks about the prohibition of mid-year pay increases in school district employees. And basically what that says is that in essence, the only way that you can increase The only way that you can increase employee compensation after the contract period is started is for extra duty things to be done. So, with that said, what I'm saying is this, we can't, it's a gift of public funds to increase someone's salary once you've started in the pay period. But you can't increase extra duties, if that makes sense, okay?
And you can give an incentive, like we have at Christmas before, when we haven't been able to give a raise.
Yeah,
I
we
mean-
don't give Christmas bonuses.
No,
So that would have been nice to know before we approved the budget.
Yeah,
That would have been nice to know before we
Yeah.
approved the budget, before we discuss this and approve the budget.
it wouldn't have mattered. The compensation, it would have been, you would have needed to consider it when we approved the compensation plan. The budget was approved.
See, I find that very disheartening. This is coming to us now after we approve the compensation plan. The data provided in July shows a disparity in the pay band of our CCISD employees.
In 3 categories.
Shows a disparity
Sure.
of the pay plan of our CCISD employees. And now, you're telling us that we can't do anything about this after we got the budget. We have folks,
You can do something about it. You can create a stipend that is an extra duty stipend for something for this school year.
yeah, for the school year. It doesn't fix
And
the
then you can
issue.
fix it in the next compensation plan. But you're gonna have to cut out of the budget whatever it is that you wanna cut out if you want a balanced budget.
if you don't, then.
If you don't want a balanced budget, then you can run a deficit budget. I'm just laying out all of the options so that you don't make a motion or an action or whatever and you say, hey,
I mean, this, I guess a stipend is workable, but it's not the permanent solution.
no.
So we gotta come back in April and make it happen, right?
So that's where I need direction from the consensus of the board. And how much are we trying to get to in next year's budget? Because we start working on next year's budget in November, okay? When we make student projections, and then we make a staffing plan in February, and then we bring that in April for you, okay? Where do you want to be with what you can afford?
Well, we're talking about it now, and this is gonna be a long memory, right? It's gonna be a long memory, One, the paid band differentials within a district cannot be as varied as they are now. You can't go from 80 to 97.3%. That has got to be addressed. That has got to be addressed.
See, I have to disagree with you because I think 80%, with the market value, with the comparisons that were done, is really pretty good. If it was 65% to 97%, boy, I'd have a big, big problem. But 80%'s not so bad. I'd like to see it go up gradually, but I don't think it needs to get to 97% overnight.
Well, all of our employees got a 3% pay raise this year.
Yes.
Did they not?
Some got more.
Oh,
I
some
mean,
got
because
more,
like
but
our
the
teachers
minimum was
got.
3%.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
So
cost of living.
And the other thing that sometimes we don't think about, the market that we're looking at affects, we're able to give benefits that a lot of companies out there in the private sector, a lot of businesses aren't able to give. Most businesses don't, a lot of businesses, private, small businesses, do not give health insurance to their employees. And I've had paras come to me and said, I love my job, I love that I'm there the same time my kids are there, but one of the reasons I became a para was for the benefits, was for being able to get on good insurance plan. So I would like to see it go up gradually, and in a smart way that I think Dr. Hawkins can get us, close to that 97%. 97%'s, unbelievable, if we're that.
Yeah, I can get you to 97, but you gotta be willing to pay for it.
Well, absolutely.
I mean,
right?
there's gotta be some cut made
Big
in staff or
cuts.
services to, if
That's
you,
if we want to balance
if
it.
you balance the budget.
We have a fund balance.
Mhm.
We have a fund balance,
But
right?
you have no monies designated to do
Oh,
next
I got
year's.
you. That's what's
Yeah.
called an amended budget.
But
right? And I'm
that's gonna go forever. How
What
is
can
the
we
fund
fix
balance gonna
today?
pay for it?
What can we fix today? We have kicked the, I do not understand the reluctance to defer and to fix and adjust things that this board is well aware of to adjust. Now, I'm gonna stand by my original recommendation. I'm not gonna go with 920,000, right? Because I wrote it, I recommended it, et cetera. I see no issue of going $460,000 in the hole for these employees, right? We've just spent we're gonna spend, more than likely, we're gonna spend $650,000 on vehicles that we don't have, and we're not even replacing. We just committed $2.5 million to softball and baseball fields. I'm not saying that we didn't need to do it. But I am saying that the $460,000 to address some of our employees, I think it's necessary.
So.
Dr. Hawkins, may I say something first?
Yes.
I've thought about this, and I wrote down my thoughts so I would not mess them up. First, let me preface what I need to say by saying that all of us, I know all of us, are concerned about all of our employees. That's evident.
Yes.
Some of our friends of my family, friends of your family, and some of the people that I've worked with in the past here in this district, and some of the people that are currently working with the district are paraprofessionals. Many of them are. So I have an understanding and a compassion for our paraprofessionals. Now, if we remember correctly, when we hired Dr. Hawkins, he had told us that in his previous district, it had evolved into one of the best paid districts for all employees in all of East Texas. Let me ask us this question. Do any of us, or have any of us been privileged to know of the future plans that Dr. Hawkins has for our district, other than what we heard when we interviewed him? He has plans. We don't know all those. If we know anything about Dr. Hawkins, he has a plan and he's going to work that plan. If we as a board seek to go ahead of him with his plan, what does that do to his plan? We have to think about that. We need to listen to the man that we hired to run this district and let him carry out the plans that he has to make our district the premier district of all Central Texas. So we need to listen to what his plan is and work that plan. He understands more about school finance, more about school workings than any of us. So we need to listen to what he has to say.
Thank you, Mr. Wilmer. I think the thing in moving forward is prioritization. And if you don't prioritize balancing your M&O, then you're gonna eat into that fund balance, and I would recommend not doing some of the construction projects that you've currently got just assigned, okay? Because you're gonna need some monies to, that is a structural deficit that continues over time. Otherwise, I need feedback on the preference of the board. If you don't want to continue to have a balanced budget and to give everyone something, if you want 97%, do you want to freeze those employees in that pay group? And then do you want to accelerate employees in other pay groups? Because, that is an option as well. But if you look over what we've got to do to overcome, walk back through with me just a second. There's maybe $1 million in, $1 million in, utilities. There's probably 1.7 in, enrollment. There is possibly 60,000 that's sitting out there that we know. And then what does it cost? What do you want to see in the recommendation for a compensation plan? Do you want to see, I mean, I know for a couple years we run $6 million deficits, and there were years that no one got any type of salary increase outside of a retention bonus. The reason you do those retention bonuses is because they don't create structural deficits, but you keep from having a structural deficit by reducing your reoccurring cost. So which direction do you want to steer the shift as a board in order for those people and me to get you to in February and in April?
Is some of those employees that are below market value could be because of the less experience that they have?
Yes.
Which creates a deficit.
It could be if
I
you,
disagree with that.
If
There's
you-
no way you get a 17% pay band differential from the study you did in July.
He didn't say 17%.
No, all I said was, could it possibly be for the fact that we have a group of employees who are less experienced, and it brings the percentage down?
Are the positions only because they're educational aid 1, educational aid 2?
that has
Or
some,
special education 2?
yeah, as far as the
Or-
aides specifically, there are, when you split them out that way, you do the salary study, and salary studies come back as educational aides. They don't split them out in the salary
Okay,
study.
all right.
So you can get a variance based on how many you use in what category from that standpoint. So yes.
And what was the percent of increase that Mr. Dixon brought about through his study?
The salary study, he recommended a 2% for all employees.
So we are above what his recommendation is.
Yeah.
And the plan that you have will carry on so that we can possibly be the premier district in Central Texas, just like the district you left.
What I've done in the past over 10 and a half years is to give employees, everyone something, and then do salary studies reoccurringly. And then as you see, like there was some employees in there that were, when you look at their comparisons, that was, and I don't want to call them out because I'd identify them by position in an open meeting, but say an employee that's down at 72%, okay, but has the same amount of experience of people in the pool, okay, well, that employee's underpaid.
Right.
And so we adjust those positions to bring them up.
And that's part of your plan.
That's the way that I've operated it.
Yeah.
You already did that, though.
Well, 1
According
year.
to the email.
Yeah,
You've already done that with a
I've
couple
done that
folks.
over 1 year, but to get to where we did in Livingston,
Took a
we
longer
did it
period of time.
every year, we're doing something, yeah. And when you don't do anything, it's like, when you start to cut a budget, the easiest place to cut a budget is his buses. Because he don't holler near as bad as some other people do, okay? If you cut the gifted and talented program, guess what? You'd have all kind of mamas standing in here mad at you. But if you cut buses, Mike may get mad.
There's
you
no,
know?
nobody's
But-
talking about cutting budget. You can't tell me with our fund balance that even isn't a risk. It's $460,000.
What is it that y'all want to do with your fund balance? Do you want to buy capital projects, or do you
That's
want
what it's
to,
for.
or do you want to use it to absorb the deficit? That's the question.
For the last 2 years, we've taken a deficit,
Uh-huh.
right? And we've approved capital expenditures across the board, right? Lee Ledger Stadium, baseball fields, buses across the board, et cetera. Brand new vehicles that we've never had before, not replacements, which I don't have an issue with.
That's M&O.
Yeah, it's not fund balance.
It's $460,000
Uh-huh.
to take care of these employees today. Something we can do today to fix the issue. It's on you.
He's our
So
superintendent.
do you want to reconsider buying those vehicles?
No, I didn't say that, did I?
No, I'm just saying though, but you're saying that we spend it. If we don't spend it, we can spend it on those.
We don't have to spend, we can buy the vehicles.
Out of fund balance and then pay the
Yeah,
employees
whatever.
out of the M&O.
However you want to cut it.
But see, we've hired Dr. Hawkins
To figure that
to
out.
run our district. I think that we're
Yeah,
to
but
be
this
a
is-
step in the weeds
We
when we
are
do
stepping
that.
in the weeds.
And we need to let him work the plan that he has developed. He has a plan, if we'll just let him work his plan instead of trying to make it all happen at one time.
And like I brought up that example of that paraprofessional. And so in your explanation in the email, you said that, you know, that person could go to a step 2 or something. Whose responsibility is it to go to her and say, let's get you in this step 2 or whatever we call it, and who
That may
does
be
that?
another position, though. She might not want to leave that position.
Yeah, I mean, whose responsibility is it?
Yeah.
It's really hers. You know, I mean,
And she knows that that's
I-
the way to move up and make more money.
I don't know her, but I'm just saying that that's an option that like in Jimmy's department, in maintenance, you know, in what you approved in there is a step ability of employees that as they get certifications, they get more money.
Right.
Okay? As you become, an HVAC helper, you hire in at this, you become an HVAC technician, you hire in at this. As you get more certifications, you can become a lead. And so it progresses people based on kind of a performance-based structure. So that's in group 4 or 5, that's over there in maintenance. And so those guys have that ability. In the paras, there's an ability of that person to go from 1 to 2. Then there was a 2, when I sent y'all that email, there was a pay grade 2 position that was open at that time. Now, I don't remember what that was. It could have been
Yeah.
Probably ESL.
it could have
Or
been,
probably-
it could have been self-contained special
Or
ed, it could have
sped-
been
sped.
a library aide or whatever.
Yeah.
But generally, those people apply for those positions. And so, you know, I would say that, you know, if I was her principal, that's the person that's closer to her. I would go and say, hey, Sherry, have you thought about applying for this position?
Yeah.
To get them up there. But, yeah, so did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
But one of the things that's out there is, we see it all the time, our lady that posts all the positions.
Liz, yeah.
And all they have to do is apply for it.
Yeah.
And some of them are in-house only.
And the rise is a whole different step too. You
Right.
know, she's been in the district for 6 years,
Right.
and I know she's got 3 jobs, you said?
Yes.
She's got 3 jobs, she's been here 6 years, but, you know, she could go from, aid 1 to aid 2, pay grade 1 to pay grade 2, but definitely get into the RISE program, and then you go from 20,000 a year and you double your pay.
There's opportunities that they have that we've never had in the past.
I just
I
want to make
think
sure
it's-
they
it's
know that
great.
those opportunities are there.
I think they do.
That's
Well, I
what
know they
worries
know
me.
about the RISE program.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, I like I say, I don't know that particular employee yet.
Right.
And so,
I am gonna miss Mr. Wilburn's wisdom because, I think, I remember Sherry talking about when she was at SLI, how much she learned as a first year, in that first year, orientation that you had, all the education that they gave you. And I was the same way as you were, Sherry. I thought we came in and we ran the district, but that's really not true. We're a governing district. We're
Right.
not an operating district. We don't get, like somebody said, we don't get down in the weeds. I think it was Mr. Levette that said that to us several times. And so I am taking Dr. Hawkins' recommendations on things and I'm not saying that other people don't have good ideas. We do. We have things that really bother us and that we really find that we need to, share with him and share with the rest of the board. I am not downing you, Mr. Gores. I know you're very passionate about this, but
isn't governance.
He's the one in charge, and we just approved the budget for this year. And I don't think.
So it's kind of quibbling, right? We're kind of quibbling. We approved the budget, then we're going to come to this meeting and talk about amending the budget, and you're going to give me information saying we can't do this because it's against the law.
No.
This is about taking care of people. This is about taking care of people. I'm going to go back to the meeting that we had, or convocation. ICU, right? ICU. We have employees that we could help today. We have employees that we can help today with hardly any cost. You talk about the deficit budget, absolutely, last 2 years. 460 plus another 30,000, that's 470,000 on the deficit. We're getting interest right now on our fund balance. I stand by my recommendation. If I'm alone, that's fine, right? But we can take care of people today, we can take care of these folks today. As part of us, as far as I'm concerned, it's not governance. I'm not getting in his weeds, I'm not getting in anything.
Guys,
I'm looking at the oversight.
Let me be real clear. There's no way that I can be successful as the superintendent, working the way we're working.
No.
And let me tell you why. I've got to have information. We set goals, and we're working to meet those goals.
It's not part of the.
But I need a lot clearer direction on where you're trying to go. Every school district that I've ever worked for and board that I've ever worked for, and they're all different, has wanted the budget balanced. And so, and not only for this year, for next year. And so, in order to do that, y'all, there's a lot, I don't know if it's possible, but if we keep increasing our expenses, I know it's not possible. If that's not important to you, then I need you to tell me that's not important to us. We will live out of fund balance. And I can rework the way that I try to run a district. But I need that stuff ahead of time rather than down the line. I need those, like we put on the agenda last time, constraints, superintendent constraints. What two constraints do you want to see me operate our district with? Is it, you want a balanced budget? Is that a constraint? Or do you want to see something with scores? Or do you want to see something programmatically? I'm going to need more from you as a group, because y'all are very diverse. Y'all got ideas all over the page. And look, I wasn't here 12 years ago, and I can't help what went on last year or whatever, but I'm trying to get us as a unified body from A to B. And it's very difficult to manage if you don't really have a clear target of where we're trying to go financially.
Maybe this would be better talked about at our goals, when we set the goals for next year. As
Yes.
a body, do we want to really work on that group that's at 80, the 3 groups, he said, that are at 80%? Do we want to focus on that for next year's goals? If you look at our goals, this really doesn't have anything to do with our goals this year. That's just my thought. And again, I want us to work together, but I want us to work together so he knows where we are as a board. I personally want to see a balanced budget. I don't like those deficit budgets that we approved for a few years, and I think I made that known every year. I don't like deficit budgets. So I think he's leading us in a really good direction. I'm not saying I agree with him on everything. We have our visits and back and forth, and I think all of you do too. Everybody talks to him. We're not afraid to talk to Dr. Hawkins, are we?
No way.
But he is our leader. He is our educational leader. He knows about the fund balance, and he knows about, you know,
See, I knew,
just, it boggles my mind what we're doing right now, because it's not meeting the goals that we set, and I still think we're getting into, you know, more than just a governance board.
And
We're-
he's got a
we're getting-
plan
We're getting way into the
that we don't
weeds.
know all about. What I want to do is to see his plan in action before we try to mess up his plan.
And we just did a 3% raise this year,
Right.
which we had not done in a
Years.
few years. The last one I think we had was 1.5. And we were excited when
Yeah.
we could do that. And he got us to a 3% raise this year already. That's exciting. So let's let him work his job, and we need to do our job, and maybe this, like I said, would be better talked about at goal time, whenever that is. I think it was, did we do it in March or April this year? Sometime in that arena. But I mean, it's up to everybody else. I'm just speaking my mind. I'm not trying to sway anybody. That's just what I think. And I do wanna see a balanced budget, and I appreciate that you got it as close as you did.
Right.
I just need clarity on where to go. I can get you to where you wanna go, but I need clarity proactively rather than reactively. And so that's really what we try to do with evidence of attainment. So that whatever goal it is, I can clearly see what we need to do there. And obviously financially, we're not hitting that evidence of attainment that, you know, as a group that everybody's satisfied with. But, you know.
And what are the personnel in the other categories gonna think if we give this one up to 97%? What are they gonna do about them? You know, that's the next thing we have to think about. Everybody else, we can't get them all up to 97%.
But we're not getting up to 97%. Mike? All right,
Right.
that's the eventual goal, right? The $460,000 is not getting up to 97%.
But it's gonna be
These are folks at
460,000 this year,
80%
and
of
then
pay
next year,
band.
and the year after that, and the year after
You
that.
need to catch them up, right? The goal should, first of all, there should be no differential. It is illogical. It does not make sense that there is a differential in pay band percentages. Somebody explain that to me. That makes logic, ethics, etc. Nobody's talking about 97% right now. What I recommended was halfway mark.
But
But
I think we
halfway
need
in 1 year?
to let Dr. Hawkins' plan work.
Another 4.5.
$4,500 for one group of people.
The lowest paid group of people. I mean, it's fine. You guys have decided that, I mean, it seems like I'm the only one discussing this.
Mike and I think, are the only ones that have spoken, so I'd like to hear from everybody.
Well, my personal opinion is, we set goals. That's what we did. We get to evaluate him on how he does on those goals. We cannot tell him how to do his job. That's his position, and he's got a great staff to help him. But we're to evaluate him on those goals that we set. That is our job, evaluation of those goals. We can't change the goals all the time during the
It's
middle of the
true.
year.
Yeah.
That doesn't give him any chance to do his job.
What goal are we changing?
I guess my question is that, you know, here, let me just tell you the way I feel, not really a question, it's gonna be a statement. I feel like that there's been a pent up, whatever you wanna call it, emotion or whatever, that folks wants to be here. and today we're here. And so I feel like that, and I had this conversation last week with two employees that wanted to be like this progression. But I had to say, hey, let's work the process. Let's go through the process and we can get to where you want to go. But I think that when you look back at where we've been together, what, 7 months?
7
Something
months.
like that?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think if you just, remember when Miss Manning asked you to do what'd you ask, the goal that, or the accomplishment that everybody was very proud of? Y'all, some of those accomplishments people only do in 2 or 3 years, and we've done 7 months. I think we've done a lot of things in 7 months. We have given a pay raise beyond what the state sent us. We have balanced, dang near balanced the budget. I think we've set up some things to continue to try to make our district more efficient. Kip's area, I think, if you don't say anything else, I think he's been upset because when we went through the strategic leadership process, I think what his area was being asked is that, can you make technology reliable?
It's embarrassing.
And so, when you ask him just to make it reliable, that's not that high of a standard. Kip has a higher expectation, I think, than that. I mean, so his area has done some, I think Amanda termed it best, some large steps, some very large jumps along those ways. We can go to Curtis's area, and I mean, Curtis, if Curtis hasn't done anything else, pushing out the 11 Facebook, campus Facebook deals, I think has been, huge. I think from the standpoint of allowing communication, your podcast that Curtis does, I think, the flow of communication, Jimmy's area has done a lot of things a whole lot smarter. If nothing else, you look at the ability of an employee to click on employment in our district and then to be able to apply much easier has been tremendous in Jimmy's area. And of course, we've already talked about East area. So I think we've done a lot of things. We haven't talked about the fine arts director, baseball, softball fields. We've got band uniforms. I mean, we've done a lot of stuff and hired new people along the way and had a fairly low turnover rate for the district as well. And I think from a culture standpoint is maybe the biggest success story of all, because I think that there's more unity among the staff and hopefully the community as well. And so I think that I'm real proud of the accomplishments we've made. And I think we can do more. I just want to make sure that I'm making you happy with hitting the targets that we need to set out. But I got to know what direction to work in.
Nobody's questioning, especially me, about the improvements that you brought.
Sure.
Right? And the team building. I think it's kind of deflecting, right? I give them props all the time.
Yeah.
Right? I've given the district all the time. We're not possibly the premier, we are the premier. Star tests show it, right? Folks coming to the district show it. This is one issue.
Sure.
Outside of everything else, I mean, that's in the past. We've done great and wonderful things, absolutely. This is
But
just
he's
one.
gonna try to get us there. It just won't be in 2
Okay,
years
I hear
or
you.
3 years.
I got it. Then,
I think he hears you. He put it on the agenda. I mean, it was on the agenda when I saw it. So he totally, I think, understands what you're saying. And I understood from him there are three that are at 80%.
There's 3 that's in the 80s.
And I mean, to me, if we could get to 90%, that's pretty darn good. 90% of the market in this area for Copperas Cove?
Yeah.
I mean, we are a property poor school district. And so I think all that has to be taken into consideration, which he's doing. He understands that. I don't know, I just don't think we need to get there. We need to get there in a smart way. And I think that we need to let Dr. Hawkins figure out that smart way to do it. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not down in anybody's ideas. I think we all agree that, you know, those people are important, very important people. They make a huge, I had one lady that before we had the RISE program, she was a para in one of our pre-K classes, and she said, Joan, I do more work than the teacher does. I really do. I'm gonna, when the school year's over, I'm gonna go ahead and go back to college because I wanna be able to get paid like she's being paid, because I'm doing a lot of the work in there. And I mean, I believed her. So I think we all have experience with different folks that we understand, you know, that we need to, that we want to help. But I think we need to let Dr. Hawkins decide how quickly to do it, how to do it, and trust him. And I would like to hear, anybody else interested in a balanced budget? Or are y'all fine with deficit budgets every year? I mean, I have not heard that.
So, okay, last spring, the board, the sitting board, or the board that was last spring, approved a retention bonus. What was it, 1.2 million?
It was 2 million.
It was 2 million.
An employee.
What was the train of thought or state of mind when the board agreed to approve that? Knowing that the budget, you had a budget deficit, why was that appropriate to approve?
To stave off flight,
Yes.
Retention.
right? To stave off
Retention of
flight.
teachers.
We were
It's a retention bonus.
We had multiple folks that are TIA, right,
Uh-huh.
awarded, less than 2 years, and there was a concern of flight.
It truly was a retention incentive.
So that was
Money
down-
allocated that the state would reimburse for that.
Oh, you don't know that, it's fine, I mean, that's forethought, right?
Well-
Now you're projecting,
Maybe.
right? I mean, we know we have, you know, and I think it's kind of smart plan, not a smart plan, I think that's not the way to categorize it, right? We're looking at fixing things now that we can fix. Regardless, we run budget deficit, we're spending money on things. But I'm done talking about it. You guys can talk about it, I'm good. I brought it up.
Let me just make one. I'm for balanced budget. I really am. A question I would have with this, with what Jeff is proposing is, how much does it affect the personnel that you said we spend, what, 83% of our budget on personnel, correct? How much effect would that have on a balanced budget for next year?
That, y'all will learn.
But that's based on projections of how many
Yeah,
students you're gonna get to,
Y'all will
correct?
learn that I am very fiscally conservative, and I don't like to get my chin out over my skis. And so I have a tendency to be very gradual in what I recommend. So I'm just saying there's a barrier.
Yeah.
When we don't know what the utility cost is, when we don't know what the impact of students are, I mean, when I ask, what are you willing to pay, are you willing to shut down a campus? I mean, so there's cost associated with balancing a budget and giving all employees something and covering all of these inflationary costs that's coming next year. What are you willing to
give up.
Yeah, because we only got what we got.
Yeah.
Next year, we're only
I
gonna
understand the
have-
process,
yeah.
I do. And we definitely want to take care of our employees. You know, and I think over the past number of years, we've done a good job of taking care of our employees. Yeah, sometimes better, and all these accomplishments this year have just boggled my mind. We've done so well in the past 7, 8 months under your leadership. I just, you know, like I said, I want to see a balanced budget. I was tickled when we approved the budget with $300,000 that we're going to have to take out of fund balance. You know,
30,000.
it's just, huh?
It's 30,000.
It was a 30, no, it was 300.
350.
350, yeah,
Yeah,
360.
350,000, yeah, something like that. And,
The only thing we're at, yeah.
you know, if we get to a budget like that next year, where maybe it's, you know, 500,000, who knows? We're gonna be in pretty good shape.
500,000 would be a celebration.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can hit your employees with something.
Absolutely, and I am for that. Over the, let's see, this is my, what, sixth year, 7th year on the board, I think, something like that. And as Joan has mentioned before, we have not given something to the employees every single year.
Yeah.
And Mike's alluded to it too, that's a plan, okay? That if you've got your plan, that we're gonna give something to the employees every year, and we build up, get people to whatever the percentage is in their category. And having sat on city council before, gone through that whole pay thing about, you know, hey, where are you on the pay scale? You know, and I can see why the city's trying to soak us for $60,000 or whatever it is, because the legislature did not do them any favors.
Sure.
You know, obviously, cities are struggling.
Didn't do us any favors either.
That was a struggle for the city too, to bring people up, and retention too, because they had retention problems a number of years ago too. And Joan's husband sat on the city council too, so he understands all that. I want to take care of employees, I want to see a balanced budget, and I want us to be the premier district. We are the premier district. All these stats, and the staff's done a super job of getting us to the point we are, and we need to continue on that glide path. How we do that, that's got to be your plan. And you know, my whole thing about the whole conversation, I've been pretty quiet. I've just been trying to absorb and figure out how I really feel about the whole thing. Is in summary, you need some guidance from us. What direction,
I need some,
or it needs to be a
late-
goal of some type. What's our goal, right?
Yeah, late winter, I need some guidance on where we wanna hit the bank on the other side of the river.
Well, yeah.
Because we gotta swim across.
Mhm.
And, you know, it's just, I think part of what y'all don't see is the infrastructure and logistics that we gotta put in place in order to be able to adequately, because I think Cliff pulled all his hair out, right? And it was because, you know, we've got software.
Is that what happened?
That's what happened. We have software issues, and it's very hard to make decisions if you don't have good information. And so, you know, from an HR perspective and from a business perspective, we've got to build a system between now and then to where we know exactly, the scoreboard is clear. We're not trying to swim through muddy water. And so there's things logistically that we got to do on our side in order to be able to do a quicker job of giving information to you as a board when those times come. Because we, just as Kip is talking about his infrastructure, Jimmy and Cliff's infrastructure is spitting and sputtering too. We've got to do some things there, but it's cheaper to do Cliff and Jimmy's infrastructure than it is to do Kip's, so, if that makes sense.
But see, I just want the people like who are paraprofessionals or custodians or whoever to want to work for us because they're making a good living and they like their job. A custodian that gets a 67 cent an hour raise, you know, That's not very much. Or the paraprofessional who has to have 3 jobs in order to keep her job with us because she loves her job with us. You know, so I'm glad you're working on it, and I know it's gonna be a process and a plan, and it's not gonna happen this year, you know, and gradually we're gonna get there. But those are the people I'm concerned about.
Well, and I understand that, and you find that in most,
And maybe I have too big a heart.
smaller districts. If you look at the pay scales
Yeah.
in smaller districts, those people are paid at a higher rate a lot of times than teachers.
Oh, yeah.
Not, and I'm talking about pay band wise.
Yes.
I'm not talking about gross pay.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
But you see that because people's heart do go out to them. And, you know, my mother drove a school bus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when she was putting me through school, she had 3 jobs.
Uh-huh.
And so I get it. But I also understand that at the end of the day, no amount of money that we could give them is gonna be able to pull them out of that.
Right.
Because the next range up is teachers, and we can't even impact them and give them enough money to pull them up out of to where they should be paid.
Right.
So it's a scarcity.
It is.
It's
yeah.
a scarcity. You know, when you have such a limited amount of money, there is a scarcity that drives decisions like we're talking about today to where there's really no winners.
No.
You don't get to make the best decisions. You just have to make the decisions with what cards is on the table.
And I told her when she brought my groceries, I said, that you're working on it, that you have a plan, because I believe that you do, and you're gonna get those people to where, you know, they.
But we can do better.
Yeah, we can,
do
and I
better.
told her, and this is a quote from me, we have to do better, and we have to. So
But you know, we
thank
can't
you
get
for-
them to what a teacher makes.
No.
Yeah, we can't get them.
Nobody's talking about
Yeah,
that.
we can't get them.
Nobody's talking about that. We're talking about making it equitable on the pay bands.
Oh,
Right.
I
Right?
understand
There's no
that.
reason for that
I agree.
80% to
But what I'm talking
97%.
about is what
Right.
Sherry was talking about with this one teacher, or this one aide,
Para, uh-huh.
and this paraprofessional.
Or custodian.
Yeah, custodian, any of them. You know, we're gonna do what we can, and I think that the plan that Dr. Hawkins will have for us will be one that's gonna eventually work out.
We're counting on you. No pressure.
Well, I won't go to any of those relaxation trips or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, thank you for
Thank y'all.
listening to us.
the non-business school days, that is just, and y'all, please give Miss Manning input, because we do have time to change the agenda to where we haven't in the past. I think that's one of the benefits of splitting the agendas up. But moving on to that adoption of those non-business days there, that's something that by law we're required to do right now for open records request, and that's on there. Curtis has got that put together for us. And then, like I said, that out-of-state trip with Oasis, you know, we've got TEA coming in, so I'm gonna be here in the district to welcome them, because I don't know, I mean, it may be Morath show up or whoever, but, you know, I wanna
I
make sure.
actually went by myself last year, so, I mean, if somebody else, it's important for somebody else to go, they can, but it's not, it's just a 2-night thing. But it is a really good Impact Day conference. Our action items, first, consider and discuss a resolution to nominate 1 to 2 persons for the Board of Directors for Quarry Elk Central Appraisal District.
Yeah, this is really a board action. Monica has the letter from, I believe it's in your packet, from
Mitch.
from
Mitch
them.
Fass.
And so, the chief appraiser, and, you see the folks that we've nominated in the past, and so the thing of it is, you gotta nominate now, and then you vote on them at our next meeting, I believe it is. the way that-
So what they did was, they changed, the legislature changed it, and now they're on, some of them are only on for 1 year at a time. And so the way they did it, because my husband's on that appraisal district, and he told me the way they did it was they just, like we drew for our places on the ballot. they pretty much did it that way. The people on the board just took a number, and two of them got the short straw. And I believe it was,
My recommendation on it is to nominate everybody that's up for election and anybody else that y'all would want to put on there.
the one that came.
Because you're not voting.
Yeah.
You're just nominating.
Right. The
Yeah.
one that came from us, though, was Inez Faison. She will be finished this year unless she's renominated. And the other one was Kevin George, I believe. The other people, like my husband and the other ones, they got 3-year terms.
So they have to come off.
Well,
No,
there's-
they don't.
Yeah, they're still on.
Oh, they're still on.
Inez and Kevin
Inez
George.
and Kevin George, I believe, are the two.
And so I would
Okay.
nominate everybody that was up, because there's no prohibition on how many people you nominate. But if you don't nominate them, you can't vote for them.
You can't vote for them.
And you only get so many votes based on your value capacity of your taxes.
So those two are the ones that would be nominated, correct?
So that's our
Not all of them,
that's the
not all of them,
recommendation?
because that splits the votes.
Yeah.
You're not
it does.
voting though, you're just nominating.
We're
Well, no,
nominating
we're
them today.
not, but the entities, we will be, I think we'll.
We'll have a number of votes.
Yeah,
We'll have
certain
so,
amount,
votes.
so I would nominate anybody that y'all wanna nominate, I'd nominate those people for sure. And then when it comes back, you have so many votes as a board that
Yeah.
you can cast. And the majority of the board votes towards casting those votes on who the people that you want.
Okay.
Do y'all have anybody else that you wanna add?
Y'all think about it, and we can add them tomorrow night.
You mean next,
Their next meeting.
2 weeks.
I'm back on our last month. Yeah,
In 2 weeks.
I wish it was tomorrow night, right? In some ways, in 2 weeks, correct. So if you've got,
Okay.
it's just a little easier for the board, I think, for their board not to have so many nominees. Because it
better make sure you
splits a lot
find
of
out that they
votes.
want to serve on that
Yeah.
before you nominate.
Yeah, that's true. I think, I think they do. They
The
thought they
chief
were going for
appraiser,
3
yeah.
years terms.
Generally, the chief appraiser says, if you don't want to be on there, let me know. And then
Right.
he sends a letter saying they wish to
Come on.
not serve another
Yeah.
term.
Yeah.
Is the normal operating process.
Okay, our last action item, and that's not action tonight, it's action in 2 weeks, is to consider and discuss the election services contracts with Coryell and Bell counties, and that's something we do during every election period, so it's kind of routine. It's just the election contracts that they give us to, okay.
Yeah, I read it.
Okay. So we are going to go ahead and take a break. It's been a while. Take a quick drink or bathroom break, and we will be having under 551.074, a closed session to discuss personnel complaints involving district personnel. And we'll have a level 3 grievance here. we are returning to open session at 9:10 PM.
Madam President, I move that we, as a board, deny Chantel Dope's level 3 appeal.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Copeland, a second by Ms. Hoffpower. Now we need each one of us to go around the table and say yay or nay. John?
Yay.
Jeff?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Duff. Right, we are going to go ahead and conclude the hearing at 9:11 PM.
Can we all know where my phone is?
Oh, it's okay.
All right, at this time, we are going back into our closed session. Under
551.074.
551.73, is that right?
74.
74. We're going back under 551.74, and it's 9:11 PM.